All right, we're going to start again here real quick. This is the Options Moneymaker Q&A session for January 8th, 2020. I'm Mark Dannenberg. Michael Kastner is here tonight. Aaron Rumley will be here in a little bit. We set aside time every other week to help answer questions that you may have regarding your trading, whether it be futures trading, options trading, or stock investing. And we make ourselves available so that we can help you build your trading business. So I'm excited to have Craig with us tonight. Craig is the head of programming and development for New Cycle Trading and Analytics, and has been instrumental in helping us create the Profit Flow Analytics chart tool that many of you are using now. It's certainly what we are using in the live trading room. So it's always exciting to talk to someone who has been instrumental in creating a tool that is really helping traders be successful. So I'd like to welcome Craig. Craig, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can, Mark. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, Craig. I know you and I chat frequently because we have talked a lot about the development of these signals, but I thought it would be great to have the Options Moneymaker community understand a little bit about your background and get to know you a little bit.
Sure. I realize that New Cycle Trading, we don't really have too much of a persona, but I can give a little bit of a background on myself. I am pretty much just like everyone else involved with New Cycle Trading. We're all pretty much a bunch of Silicon Valley engineers, background in web and mobile, all kinds of stuff, who had a side passion for trading the markets, and I think got sick of it one day and said, we should make this our full-time thing. But in reality, we have some experience trading, myself personally, for about 10 years fairly actively. And it was always kind of a lifestyle thing for me, right? I wanted to have additional options in life, wanted to explore what else I could make possible through trading. And went and tried just about everything out there, and noticed a whole host of problems with pretty much every other strategy or set of indicators that I'd worked with. And that kind of led me and the handful of people who I kind of was talking with this stuff about to say, we could build a better market model than that. And so we started to develop those kinds of things.
Well, I personally, having worked extensively with the Profit Flow Analytics charts, think you and the team have done a phenomenal job of putting together a series of indicators. And I just have to back up a little bit, Craig, and say, I am grateful for the day that you and I connected, that we met, and in talking, we realized that we each had the same common goals. And so I just, I think that you are sincerely a huge benefit to the Options Moneymaker community. And I'm grateful that we've had an opportunity to work together and share ideas, and that you have both a level of programming skill and knowledge and trading skill and knowledge that has just made you the perfect partner to collaborate with and build these indicators.
Well, I really appreciate it. I, feel similarly that I think there was a real meeting of the minds early on that we both really wanted to not only do better, but to help other people, and to build tools that were really helpful to traders out there who were either struggling or just wanted to have something simpler and more logical. I think you and I have talked about it a lot, and how the indicators kind of all came together. But initially we started building models independently, but what all of us, and I think your influence on me had indicated as well, is that there's a real tendency out there for indicator creep, right? Everyone has access to all of these different kinds of things they can put on their screen. Before long, you've got so much information out there that you don't know what to do with it. And trading any strategy, you end up trying to merge things together, and it becomes really hard. It becomes a judgment call, and it's really hard to have that binary: when should I enter, when should I exit? So that kind of became the quest for us, was how much can we condense into simple, straightforward signals that allow you to trade any different kind of market, and can give you a much clearer idea when you should be in or be out. I see a lot of people out there using the SMA, looking at the RSI and saying, I can make a calculation on what the stock is going to do based off that. but that's really a fairly simplistic way of looking at it. I mean, there's people who like to trade candle patterns and everything, and sometimes those work out. I haven't personally had a whole bunch of success with that. Um, the net of what we all kind of wanted to do was to build something that we knew could be used on different platforms that allowed us to trade in a market that was trending, a market that was choppy, something that was cyclical. Since I've become familiar with Options Moneymaker and with what you guys are doing, it seemed like the perfect way to build these things out, to really test them, and to introduce them to an audience that hopefully could make great use of them.
Well, so one of the things, Craig, that I think is really powerful about the indicators, each individual indicator, you mentioned the indicator creep, and I can pull up a list of available indicators on most any platform, and there's hundreds of different indicators that you could load. And I would argue, I think you do too, that most people don't really understand how to use them. They may have a limited understanding of how to use an individual indicator, and they may have an idea about pairing a couple of indicators together. But what evolved, as I recall from our conversations, is each of the indicators in the Profit Flow Analytics set of tools is actually a summary of multiple underlying indicators. So what I really applaud your team for doing is taking a variety of indicators that we both knew to be powerful when paired together and present it in a very simple to understand and simple to read, almost a single signal format, so that a trader can just follow, for example, the profit flow oscillator and look at the signal, whether it be a B or a C signal, to enter a position and not have to scan multiple indicators in order to see whether or not there's an alignment. So that's one of the real powerful aspects of this, and I'm not sure that everybody who uses profit flow analytics understands that completely, but I think that that's probably one of the most powerful aspects of the creation of this tool.
Yeah, that's entirely right, Mark. I think, as we've rolled them out as well, I'm sure everyone here who's traded with them has had experience that not everything works perfectly exactly the same in every market condition. There's certainly times where you're going, this is, keeps heading up higher, and I'm seeing waiting for a reversal, which is why, of course, we came out with the trend bias and with other, related indicators to that. We're a big fan of the entry signals that I think you guys have popularized here. These A, B, and C entries. You can certainly pair things together, but in general, the idea is that what we do is we take a wide array of different indicators and allow you to look at them and at a glance have an idea what I should be trading in any given market.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal approach here, and that leads into the new indicator that's going to be coming out next week, the Cycle Finder Plus. Cycle Finder Plus is something that we had extensive conversations about, as I recall, looking for, I might even call it the holy grail of understanding where the beginning and ending of a cycle might be. So Cycle Finder Plus is really an awesome addition to the whole set of tools. And when it is used in conjunction with the other indicators, it can be probably the most profitable indicator, set of indicators that most traders have ever had the opportunity to use. So we talked a little bit, Craig, about putting together some training, because the Cycle Finder Plus was at a level that requires a more deep dive knowledge and education on how to properly use it. We could have just thrown an indicator out there. I keep saying we because we've had so many conversations about this, but ultimately,
it feels like a we at this point.
Ultimately, it just felt like we were at a level that we needed to really educate people on how to use this. Like I said, we could have just thrown another indicator out there and given a cursory explanation of it, but I don't think that serves the purpose that we both collectively have, which is to truly help traders be successful, to truly help traders be profitable and enjoy what they're doing. So New Cycle Trading put together a masterclass, and I'm privileged to be able to teach that on behalf of New Cycle Trading. So appreciate the thoughtfulness there, Craig.
Absolutely, that's entirely right, Mark. I was just going to say that the whole goal, and what we've been doing was really trying to model what was going on in any given market. And I think as you've experienced too, I would never necessarily advocate, despite the fact that I think these indicators can be used in just about any market. You don't necessarily manage a trade the same way on any given market or any given stock. How you want to trade an NDX option, for example, versus an Amazon option, versus how I would trade futures, how I would trade oil, can be very, very different. So what we've sought to do is really profile the market and then put together information on how you manage those trades, not just when to get in, but where to take profit, how to manage something if it turns against you. And I think you were the perfect person to do a masterclass that would teach good trade management and introduce kind of all this powerful modeling that we have into how to really draw specific trades for maximum profit.
If I could just divert us away from our conversation just for a moment, because you made a really good point. One of the things that we're going to be talking about in the masterclass is exactly what you just stated, Craig, is you can't take a tool that is useful for any type of trading and apply it equally to every single stock or every single futures or every single index. So there has to be some level of research that's involved. So what we've done is we've done some research in advance of the masterclass, and I'm just giving you an example here. I don't intend to go through this in detail, but basically what we're saying here is that based on a level of research throughout all of 2019, if you used the Cycle Finder Plus indicator, which we'll be teaching in the masterclass, and you used it on Amazon, and you took every single opportunity that's presented to you simply on a daily chart, if you used a sweet spot of 13 points, meaning you expect the underlying stock to move 13 points, and then whatever delta you're using, that would determine what your good to canceled order should be set at to close. It's one of the most confusing things and complicating things and emotional aspects of trading for most traders is, when do I take a profit? I've got $5 of profit now, but I'm upset because it went to 30. I've got $5 of profit now. I didn't take it, and I'm upset because I lost 10. So what we've done, and a lot of this has been through, triggered from our conversations, Craig, we've created a template that you're going to be able to use as a masterclass participant in understanding what certain stocks' sweet spot is, what that can produce in terms of profits, and we'll come back to this a little bit later in the Q&A, and I'll explain a little bit more about it. But it's also set up so that any stock you want to research, any index you want to research, any futures contract you want to research, you can do that, and you can build for yourself your own history, your own knowledge level about what level of profit target you should set for yourself, and then you just do it. And it makes it less emotional, it makes it much more manageable, and it makes it very, very easy for you to trade when you combine the Cycle Finder Plus with the other technical indicators and this level of research.
Yeah, I think we've got some great models going here. I've just, from the ones I know you and I have been talking about recently, there's been some pretty extreme profit potential, I think, on some of them. So we've been trying to figure out just what do we do with that.
Well, and I don't want to jump to questions too quickly here, but just this is right in line with what we're talking about. Bob is asking, can the Cycle Finder Plus be used to determine if an after-hours trade is worth taking? I think, Bob, the answer to that is yes, if you do some research. What period of time do you want to trade? What underlying equity are you wanting to trade? And you can do some research using this tool that we've created, and you can answer that question for yourself. But absolutely, Cycle Finder Plus, Cycle Finder, Profit Flow Oscillator, Trend Consensus, the Trend Bias, they all work whether it's after hours, during regular market hours, but as Craig alluded to earlier, the dynamics of them may be a little different. So you've got to tailor your trading, fine tune your trading to those specific time periods and equities.
And
so go ahead,
definitely
Craig.
sorry, just going to say, and definitely resolution on a chart as well. How I would trade on a daily chart is very different from whether I'd take a trade on a 5-minute chart.
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to be doing a deep dive in the masterclass on that, how to trade daily versus how to trade a short-term chart, how to trade futures versus how to trade for stock option profits and as a stock investor. So pretty excited about it. So Craig, when you look forward, New Cycle Trading looks forward, what do you see coming down the road?
So a couple of things. One, I think our next big project, other than, of course, always working to tune things and working to help build out this market model that's powering this stuff, is we want to give people a community where they can ask questions, where they can share ideas, and where we can give feedback to them. So we're putting together a community portal site, which hopefully we'll have up and running fairly soon. And inviting everyone to come join there. It's free of charge. It's simply a site where you can come and find out more about the tools that we're using, how we're using them in some cases, and if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it.
And I suspect that once that's up and running and you're ready to have people come and participate, we'll send out something to everybody.
We will send out a notification.
Okay, perfect. One of the questions that I get frequently when I'm talking about the whole set of profit flow analytics is it's built on the TradingView platform, which just works so well for most everybody. But I get a lot of questions about development on other platforms, and I think the most common question I get is about Thinkorswim. Any thoughts or comments about that?
Yeah, Thinkorswim, we've heard that one a lot too. I know some people use NinjaTrader, some people use TradeStation. There's all kinds of different platforms out there. One of the main reasons that TradingView was such a good partner early on is that they are really, really favorable to develop with. They make it really easy for you to build stuff and get it out there. Getting involved with Thinkorswim or other kind of major players takes a little bit more conversation. And we've started to have those kind of at this point. So more information will come, but yes, we are working on releasing on other platforms, specifically Thinkorswim, which is probably going to be the first one.
Fantastic. That'll be great to see when we're able to accomplish that. And then I know, Craig, because we've talked so much, you're not only a great programmer and developer, but you're a fantastic trader yourself. And I know you're very passionate about what you've created here, you and your team. I heard a rumor, a little bird told me that you have a personal goal for this year, for 2020.
I'm modest. You're going to make me blush. First of all, let me reiterate too that I appreciate the accolades and everything. I think one of the reasons I love building these things is I don't consider myself to be that amazing a trader. That's why I build tools to help me. And I've been so fond of working with your team because you guys are all world-class traders, and I look to you for information on how to manage a trade as well. So I think it works out very well. I think I can relate that right there with everyone else. When you guys are frustrated by the markets, I'm probably feeling the same. But I have spent time back testing and looking at our tool set. And, in some of the numbers we've been running, we were trying to answer that question of, okay, well, what is really possible? How far could we push this? And so I kind of have a personal goal, which this is something that I will be released on the trading community when it's out here. You guys can come follow along. Is that I'm sort of doing an unofficial, it's official, project of my own. It's official.
Wait a minute. Do you have to check with other family members first?
As people are wondering. No, my goal is to do $1 million in 1 year, trading a reasonable sized account, which seemed like a benchmark, which I know a lot of people hold up as, kind of it's the entry level to the big leagues, right? That's what everyone, if you could make $1 million in a year, what would you do? And in looking at our backtest numbers, we were looking at exactly that. That was the number we laughed and kept coming back to and say, I think I can do $1 million in a year with this. So my goal is, especially once the community is up, is I will have a group there that if people want to follow along in my personal quest, I'll be trading my account with my money. with the goal of making $1 million profit in a year. And it'll be a reasonable sized account to start. We're still got to work out the details because I need to split things across futures and options and various things, but more information on that to come. But we're going to do a sort of a promotional story here where it's 1 year, 1 million, seeing the quest of one very ambitious trader and programmer.
So when you say they can follow along on the forum, it's not a fee-based service on the forum, right?
Absolutely free. Absolutely free. This is the idea with this is not to broadcast these trades as to follow along with me directly. I think what I'd really like to do is to show you how I'm using the signals and the toolkit that we've put out there. And then we want to empower the rest of you to be able to do the same. And you'll figure out how we're doing it, and you can make your own decisions on whether you take the same kinds of trades or trade a different size, a different market entirely. It's up to you. But it's an illustration.
So for anybody who really is serious and wants to follow along, they'll be able to pay attention to your trades, look at the charts, understand the patterns, understand the signals, and the signals repeat themselves over and over and over again. So they'll be able to learn more deeply what it is that you're doing.
That's exactly right.
Now, do you need to attend the masterclass, Craig?
How many times can I say that too? So no, I cannot stress enough that as well as just having the right toolkit to identify signals, the single best thing you can do is know how to manage your trades. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of doing the master classes. The more and more we research this, the more we said, okay, these signals work, but how can you really succeed in not just this market, but in in whatever you're trading here. And that's, you need to know how to manage the trades. You need to know how to really be a professional trader. And that's exactly what the masterclass is intended to do. So we can arm you with the tools, but we can also give you all the information you need on how you would trade it. And that's the intent.
Information is the key, right? There's a lot of emotions going around right now. There's a lot of news, financial media sound bites that are out there right now about what the market's going to do. And none of them relate to specific signals. So if I take a look at the Cycle Finder Plus, take a look at the profit flow oscillator, trend consensus, trend bias, I can get a sense in short term or long term, depending on what time period I'm looking at, as to where that underlying equity might be moving. To be personally honest, I'm a little surprised that this morning when I woke up to the market that we were seeing the futures trending higher after the Dow futures were down 400 last night. But we seem to shake everything off. And so there's this emotional conversation going on about how the market's going to go higher because of X. The market's going to sell off because of X. And in fact, Craig, you've got a great graphic about that cycle of getting into the news media and what the market's going to do.
You can find a lot of them out there. There's a lot of cute graphics, but yeah, I think most of us look to 2020 with, unless we were otherwise equipped with better knowledge, trepidation. We're looking and seeing all this news out there and going, my goodness, how do I trade this? And that's exactly why we want to do a masterclass to show people, here's how you manage those trades.
And so it's a combination of the masterclass as well as following the signals and putting your blinders on to all of the emotional hype of the news media. I really don't believe in listening to the news media as it relates to my trading. I'd rather look at a set of technical indicators that have a proven history to them. They've proven themselves to me in my own personal trading. And I know Michael Kastner said it very well in the live trading room today. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It doesn't matter which direction the market is trending. It always cycles. There are cycles that are short-term cycles when we look at a 3-minute chart, and there are cycles throughout the course of a week or 2 weeks when you look at a daily chart. So you can always count on the market to cycle. And if you have a good tool, which is exactly what you and your team created for us, Craig. If you have a good tool, you follow those indicators. And that's why the newest indicator that's associated with a masterclass coming up next week is the Cycle Finder Plus. It is truly going to help you find the beginning and end of new cycles, no matter what's going on in the overall market. So I'm kind of excited about Masterclass, and I just want to, publicly thank you and your team, Craig, for all the phenomenal work you did, New Cycle Trading, creating this set of tools. And I look forward to being able to teach the Masterclass starting next week on Tuesday. And I personally look forward to popping in on the forum, checking in with you, and see how your 1 year, 1 million personal objective is going.
I really appreciate it, Mark. And likewise, I'm grateful to everyone here for coming along with us on this. And my greatest hope this year is that I can give everyone the confidence to not be worried about what's coming up this next year, not be worried about recession or whatever the world is going to do, but to be really confident that they're going to make more money than they've ever made before.
Yeah, that's a great goal. We have the same goal, Greg. So thank you very much for being here. And stick around as we have some questions. If you want to chime in, please feel free.
Definitely. Thank you.
Before we get to the Q&A, I want to go back to this spreadsheet tool. And I want to highlight a few things for you folks. This, again, this is a tool that we've created as part of the masterclass. And if you're an attendee of the masterclass, you're going to get a copy of this. And it's going to show, right now we've got 6 stocks, actually 4 stocks and 2 indexes that we've listed the detail on. And I'm going to show you just a very, very brief, 5-minute overview of this, so you understand a little bit more about where we're headed with the whole objective of using the tools that we have, the profit flow analytics tools, and specifically the Cycle Finder Plus, and how we can use it to help us plan our trading. So we took a look over the course of a year at the Cycle Finder Plus performance on a daily chart, just simply following the daily cross. And so when I say a daily cross, let me make sure we're all on the same page here. I'm talking about when this blue line, which is the lead trend line, crosses over this red line, which is our basis line. So whenever there's a cross, so here I'm showing you Google, there was a cross to the upside, the blue line crossed above the red line on January 2nd. That indicates, for a purpose of an options trader, that it's time to buy a call on Google. And you can see what happened to Google after that cross. We go back here and we can see a cross to the downside. There wasn't a lot of activity on that, mostly sideways movement before it crossed back up again. Again, not a lot of activity. And then we saw a little bit of activity on this cross. So what we did on this tool, called the Profit Sweet Spot tool, is we went and looked at Amazon, Bookings, NDX, Tesla, Google, and SPX. And we evaluated the daily crosses on each of those. So if I took a look at, we were just looking at Google, you're gonna get a copy of this as part of the masterclass. You're gonna see the detail of the dates of every single daily cross. And we're going to teach you how to read those daily crosses and how to understand what to do with them in the masterclass. And what we've done is we've created a tool for you that shows however many contracts you want to trade. If I took this down to a 1 contract basis, it shows that if you opened every single one of those trades, whether it's buying a put or buying a call, and that's as complicated as it gets, depending on the delta that you're using, because as an options trader, you have a choice of using a at-the-money 50 delta, maybe going out of the money using a 40 delta or 30 delta or 25 delta. We gave you 3 different levels, and of course you can factor in your own. But what we have done is we've created what we refer to as a sweet spot. And because of all of this data, we've been able to calculate the percentage of time that that sweet spot would be met. Now, the sweet spot is presented to you as an expected, anticipated movement of the underlying stock. And so it would be that movement multiplied times the delta would be your reasonable anticipated profit on the option. So what we did was, and I attribute all of this fantastic spreadsheet work and all of the calculations to Erin. She's just phenomenal at this. We have this category here that you can key in what percentage win you really want to achieve. So a lot of traders talk about win-loss ratio, and the first thing people ask is, well, what's your win-loss ratio? And they use that to measure. Well, we're going to allow you to choose what win-loss ratio you want. And because we have all this historical data in here, you can change that. If you're not comfortable with a 75% win-loss ratio, meaning you're going to lose 25% of the time, well, you can change it. So on a one contract basis, if you were trading a 50 delta, so at the money option on every one of these trades through the course of 2019, there were 69 trades on Google. 57 of them were winning trades, 12 of them were losing trades. So overall, that's an 83% win-loss ratio. But this number is different. This is saying I want to win on 75%. I want 75% of my trades to hit my sweet spot. So if I changed that to 90%, for example, that means look at all these wins. Win, 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 win. There's a loss. Win, win, win. The majority of your trades are going to be winning trades, and it means that your sweet spot is 5 points. It says that if you want a very conservative approach, you're going to take a trade, you're going to assume that there's going to be a 5-point movement in the stock, and that if you have a 40 delta, you're going to set your good till canceled order to sell to close for a $2 profit. So at a 40 delta, that's $9,000, $9,200 over the course of a year. Well, depending on how many contracts you want to trade, if you want to trade 10 contracts, that's a $92,000 potential profit. You got a 90% win rate. Someone else who wants to be ultra aggressive could set this for a 50% win rate, and you're obviously going to have a bigger profit number, but you're going to have a lot of emotional anxiety with the size of some of the losses. So I don't intend to get into the training on this tonight. We're going to be covering this in detail in the masterclass, but we're creating a tool so that you could take these 6 stocks, or 4 stocks and 2 indexes, and you could know, depending on what your own personal level of risk tolerance is, where to set your profit goal. And we're also creating this tool to give to you that will have a template that's blank, so you could do your own research on any stock you want. You could do your own research on any intraday equity you want. So, Pamela, I see your question. Can this be used for futures? Absolutely. You can do the detailed research on your futures, and you can plug it into the intraday template. So what we're doing is we're summarizing for you right here. First column shows the range of movement in the underlying stock. These are the maximum range. It's interesting. NDX during 2019, the smallest movement on any entry was a 4-point move, and the biggest move on any one signal was a 654-point move. Now, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table there because we calculated that a 90% sweet spot would say, wait for the underlying to move 39 points and take your profit. That's going to leave some people disappointed, but there's a method of trading where we're going to use different time periods to take continuation trades. We've talked a lot about continuation trades, and we're going to show you how to properly take those continuation trades using all the same knowledge, all the same indicators, all the same criteria and rules that we're going to be talking about for short-term and for the long-term daily. So, like I said, I'm not going to go through all the specific detail here, but you can see on a 50 delta basis, 40 or 30 delta basis, what the potential profits are, and this is based on one contract. This is all presented on a per contract basis. So if you traded a single contract and you traded all 6 of these throughout the course of the year, you've got 20, 51, you've got 127, 134, 160, 170, $180,000 of potential profit if you traded all 6. Last thing I just plugged out here because I got a question about it in the live trading room today, and it is, so what's the capital commitment that's going to be required. This number is going to change depending on volatility and how far out in time you go, et cetera. But as of right now, I assumed going out 2 weeks for expiration, and I looked at an options chain on each of these stocks and indexes today, and I assumed a 40 delta, so not right at the money, but a little more conservative 40 delta. And so you'd be paying about $25 plus or minus for Amazon, about 23 for bookings, 74 for NASDAQ, it's kind of expensive, about 18 for Tesla, about 14 for Google, and about 21 for SPX. So you're going to be able to use that information to say if there are multiple signals presented to you at one time and you want to filter out and you don't want to trade all 6, you'll be able to decide which ones you want to trade based on the cost basis and something I'm referring to as the capital to profit factor. The best performing was Google last year. At a 40 delta, you're spending an average of about $14, and you're going to actually have a profit that is a multiple of 19 times that. So that's a pretty decent profit. Bookings was 13 times. The lowest performer was Tesla, and yet it's a pretty easy trade. You can still make almost $7,500. NASDAQ, you're going to definitely make the most, $76,000. It's more expensive, and it's about 10x. So here's what we're doing. What Craig said is their whole philosophy, and I think this is one of the key reasons why we hit it off so well. Craig and I really started to collaborate, and New Cycle Trading and Options Moneymaker collaborated. Craig's team is developing signals that gives you information that you need to make decisions and make choices. What we're doing here at Options Moneymakers, we're creating this tool. Aaron's just done a phenomenal job on this. We're creating this tool so that you have information you need to make better decisions on when to exit. So Craig's team has created a set of tools that's telling you when to get in, and now we're creating a set of tools that will allow you to adjust the variables and decide when to exit out of the trade. You don't ever want to set a target for maximum profit because you'll never know when that's going to be achieved. What you want is a reasonable sweet spot that will give you a profit level that's going to achieve your personal trading goal, and then you want a set of rules and method for getting back in to that same cycle and taking a continuation trade. That's what this 4-session masterclass is all about, in addition to just teaching the rules around these signals. So I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to be talking more about this in the next few days in the live trading room. And then the masterclass, if you haven't already signed up, the masterclass starts Tuesday of next week. So I would get yourself signed up if you have any desire at all for 2020 to be your best trading year. All right, we're open for questions, folks. Appreciate your patience. Just I thought it was really important for you to hear what Craig had to say and the philosophy that he and his team have in creating these tools. But we're open for questions. Bob is asking, when he's used AbleTrend, which we used to use in the live trading room, there are specific support areas and specific places to place stops. This helps avoid emotional aspects. Yes, I like that aspect of it. Well, the education sessions and the masterclass next week address how to specifically place stops. Bob, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to share that spreadsheet with you, is because that's our version of placing a stop. It's not a stop on options. You can incorporate a stop, but all of the research we did was one of two exits. It was either exiting at the sweet spot, which you can see what that's set at, and you can set it at whatever you choose, or holding for the reversal. Now, holding for the reversal will generally earn you a lot more, but it's also going to drive a very, very high level of emotional anxiety because of the number of losing trades you could potentially have. Whereas you could have a winning trade and be out and then back in at a different time. So it addresses it in that way, not specific to support and resistance, because that is an interpretation of some indicator of the market, but it's more aligned with trade your chart. Trade the indicators and stay with the trade until it's hit your profit target, which is the sweet spot, or until the signal has reversed. And that's a lot of what the masterclass teaching is going to be about.
Mark, James is asking, what is the second most important indicator and maybe the third?
Well, so we're going to talk about how to interpret the sequence, but there's a method, James, where we're going to use the Cycle Finder Plus, and we're going to look at a 3-minute chart for futures trading, and we're going to look for alignment with a 10-minute chart. When there is no alignment with a 10-minute chart, we're looking for alignment with the profit flow oscillator and or trend consensus. We have A entries, B method entries, C method entries, and supercycle method entries. All of those are important. So I would say the answer to your question really is the Cycle Finder Plus is going to lead the way. And when we need additional validation, we're looking for what you've already learned as an A, B, or C, or supercycle entry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry about that, Mark. Patel's asking, why are the NCT indicators not available on the TradingView mobile iPhone? There's no option to select the invite-only scripts. They are. I just looked at it. I saw your question earlier, and it's there. I mean, I can get to them very easily from my iPhone. I can see them. So, maybe you can.
I might be able to help with that one.
Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah. So I will say, TradingView Mobile is not the most user-friendly thing. What it does tend to do is it reflects whatever chart you last saved in a web view. So if you can select it from a web view, you should have them available on mobile.
Greg's asking, with the new signal, are you always in the market, either long or short, or are you sometimes on the sidelines? Now, Greg, you're frequently on the sidelines. And the reason I say that is because we're not interested in being in the entire cycle. So when I take a look at NDX, for example, you know, there's a cycle. Well, the first cycle of last year was January 11th. If you held for the reversal, it moved 175 points against you. But before that, it moved 67 points in your favor, so you would have been out for a profit based on your 39-point sweet spot. So when we're out and the cycle is continuing, we're on the sidelines. But there are, so there's the initial trade if you're trading off of the daily signal, and then there are going to be continuation trades that will use other time periods, which we'll teach you about, and how to use those to perhaps jump back into that same trend and grab more profits. But you are frequently on the sidelines. There are a lot of these when we looked back and did the research where you're actually in and out on the same day hitting your sweet spot, and the cycle may last another few days. So it's really the daily cross of the Cycle Finder Plus is really a very easy methodology to trade. You show up to the market, you look at the market for the first 5 or 10 minutes. If you have a daily cross early in the market, generally in the first few moments of the market, then you open your trade. Then you take a look at what your sweet spot is based on your own desired percentage target, and you look at what your delta is of the option that you opened, and you set your good till canceled order to close and then there's nothing else for you to do that day. If your good till canceled order is triggered, you'll be out, and the next day you can take action. But it's simply a method for long-term traders, busy traders who have just a few minutes to pay attention to the market, to participate by taking action once a day.
And Rod, I think that answered your question. Rod was asking if I can't watch the charts throughout the day, it appears I can set it, the option trade, if it's a sweet spot, and set my exit. You're exactly right, Rod. That's exactly what Mark just explained.
Well, and there's some pretty cool features on TradingView too, where if you know you have a busy morning coming up and maybe you don't have time to be glued to the computer for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is in the morning, you can send alerts. And TradingView will send you a text alert, send you an email alert, and tell you that your stock has crossed. You could place a trade right from your phone. There are all sorts of ways to participate. So we're going to talk about some of those during the masterclass.
Alan's asking, will Cycle Finder Plus be offered as a standalone to purchase?
Not currently, but Craig and I were actually just discussing that today. There may be an opportunity down the road. It's all part of evaluating where our development time and development dollars should be invested. But that's a possibility down the road. I want to be careful about that though, because Cycle Finder Plus works phenomenally well as a standalone, just like the other indicators do. But there are some key times where you're better off to rely on the other indicators in support of Cycle Finder Plus. Some of the deep dive education we're going to be doing in the masterclass.
Mark, Mitt's asking, are these option trades fall under the day trade category?
Well, some of them will, just naturally. So if I open the trade at 9:35 in the morning and I set my GTC and it happens to move enough to hit my good till canceled order, that's going to be a day trade. If you're concerned about the pattern day trading rules, there are ways around that, and we'll be touching on that in the masterclass. We won't actually be teaching the details of that, but Options Moneymaker has a course that we taught a while back on how to take any trade you want, lock in a profit on any trade you want, and get around the day trade rule. So we have a course that we could help you with on that if that's what you're concerned about.
Mark Scott's asking, have you given any thought to allow a few days to observe the team trade this new indicator in the live trading room?
So the live trading room is accessible as a weekly subscription or a monthly subscription. We haven't specifically had that conversation. I think you're going to get plenty in the masterclass, but something that I will take under consideration, Scott. But otherwise, there's a weekly subscription that you could take on it too. And in the live trading room, Michael and Aaron are going to be trading off of these charts. And we're going to be adjusting a little bit of our focus in the live trading room. We're still going to be focused on futures, but we're also going to be looking at daily crosses on a handful of stocks and indexes. We're going to be calling out some options trades. So, there will be a bit more activity in the live trading room regarding options than we've had in quite a while.
Mark, I think what Scott's asking, he's in the live trading room. He's wanting to know if we could show the indicator in the next few days, where they could see how it operates. I think that's what he's asking.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. I misunderstood. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. We could do that starting tomorrow if you want to.
Okay. All right. There you go. Let's see. Ed's asking, will this work in trending and non-trending markets? Is it a good way to avoid the chop?
Well, so here's what I loved about doing a look back on all of these stocks and indexes, Ed. There were periods that were choppy. There were periods where I'm in the trade one day, I'm out of the trade the next day, I'm in another trade the next day. that doesn't last very long. But during those periods of what we typically refer to as chop, many of them were profitable periods, smaller profits, and that's why the sweet spot works so incredibly well. So it doesn't really avoid what we call chop. I'm not really opposed to chop if today the cross tells me to buy to open a call, and tomorrow the cross tells me to buy to open a put, I may or may not have made money on today's call. If the next day it tells me to buy to open a call again, I've got a little chop there. But chop when you're looking at a daily chart is very different than chop when you're looking at a 3-minute chart. That 3-minute chart will just beat you up all day long if you've got this constant state of chop. And also with futures, it's so imperative that you use a protective stop. And it's frustrating when you get into that chop and you keep getting stopped out. In the research that we did, I want to emphasize this again, in the research and look back that we did, it did not assume using a stop on options. It assumed that you're either holding until you exit for a profit based on your sweet spot, or until there is a signal reversal, and you're just checking once a day on that. So these results in this that I'm showing you, at 90% win rate based on 39 points, that's based on not using a stop. So there are some of these positions that will have a drawdown to them, but as long as you've built enough time to expiration, you should be good. There is a feature on that is being created. Aaron is in the final stages of creating it, that we're going to add to the version that you get, and it's going to show you what the average and longest cycle time has been on each of these stocks. So that doesn't mean how long you've been in it, but it tells you how long the cycle is. So if I looked at a stock, say I looked at Amazon, and the average cycle time was 5 days, and the longest cycle time was, call it 10 days, 2 weeks. I would probably be influenced to go out in expiration time 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, because I know that the average is 5. So if I go out 2 weeks, I'm not intending to hold for the full cycle. I'm typically going to be out on my sweet spot. So we're going to give you a data point that will help you decide on each individual stock or index based on your own personal trading style, how far out you should go expiration-wise.
D'Angelo is asking if there is a way to anticipate a crossing of the daily signal earlier on a lower time frame than the daily time frame, because the daily crossover takes place, you might have already missed a huge movement before. I know one way is you could always monitor pre-market activity, especially if it appears the day before that you might be setting up for a cross. You could always look at pre-market activity to get an idea of the implied open of the stock or the index.
So thank you, Aaron. I have 2 additional responses to that. You can use shorter time periods, and you can see what's probably coming. Has the 10-minute crossed? Has the 30-minute crossed? Well, does that mean that the daily's about to cross? But my other response is, when you look at the results of just waiting and being patient for that daily cross and not complicating it with anything else. I don't know that you want to trade 10 contracts on Tesla. That's a $14,000 commitment. But 10 contracts on Tesla at an 80% win rate get you $74,000 without being concerned that I might miss a bigger move, that I need to get in a little earlier, without complicating it. Now, there's all sorts of different ways that you can take the data that we're going to give you, and you can use the tools that we're going to teach you how to use in different ways. What I'm going to teach you in the masterclass is how to use them for a consistent and very effective probability of profits. If you want to vary that, if you want to get more aggressive, if you want to incorporate other versions of that, that's going to be up to you in order to satisfy your own personal desires for trading. Hey, Aaron,
Yes,
do you have the link? Can you get the link for the masterclass?
I have it.
Okay.
I already sent it to somebody earlier.
Okay, that's what I was looking
That's
for.
who you're
Thank you.
probably looking for.
Yeah,
I got
Gil.
them taken care of. Yes,
Gil was asking. Okay,
I
yes,
believe
like always, you're ahead of me.
You just keep driving the bus and just we got the back, Mark. Just keep it in
Yeah,
the road.
appreciate that,
You're
Michael.
welcome.
Did you answer when they get access to Cycle Finder Plus? I see a couple questions out here about that.
We're discussing that right now. The class starts on Tuesday. It'll probably have access to it. Well, you'll have access to it no later than Tuesday, possibly Monday. We'll finalize that tomorrow and send out a notice. Greg asks, so does a daily cross only occur in the morning or can it occur anytime during the day? Then the alert will allow us to get in at that time. Well, so first of all, I'm not sure what you mean about an alert, but if you set up an alert within TradingView, yes, the alert will tell you when it's crossing. We're not sending out alerts on these, but it can happen anytime during the day. And typically, we're just looking for the first cross of the day. But there's nothing wrong with taking a midday cross if you're available to take that trade. Rod is saying, I cannot attend the masterclass next week. Will it be recorded? Yes, Rod, it's recorded. And Aaron, can you send Rod the link? Craig's team, they set a price on this at $597 for the masterclass, but we've been offering it at a discounted price of $397, and we're going to hold that price right up until the beginning of the class. We had originally scheduled that price discount to end on Monday of this week, but we just have a lot of people who are asking questions and very interested, and we want to help as many people as we can. So we're going to hold that price until, actually right up until the class starts on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Mark, George asking about how much of your presentation in the master class will be directed toward futures trading, like NQ, RTY, and CL, which is oil.
Well, our presentation is not geared around futures or options. Our presentation and training is geared around the signals, and we have some advice as to which time periods those signals work best for futures, which time periods they work best if you're an avid options day trader, which time periods work best if you're a stock investor or if you're a limited time, maybe more casual options trader. So it's going to be devoted to the signals and how to effectively interpret them. And then, of course, you can use them for whatever underlying you choose to do so.
Josh was asking, what's the main difference between the Cycle Finder Plus and the trend bias?
Well, the underlying underlying indicators that make up each of those is different. The trend bias is going to help you understand where the trend is likely to continue. The Cycle Finder Plus is really a step up from that, in my opinion. It's giving you an earlier indication of when the cycle is about to shift. The trend bias is a more conservative and more aligned and confirmed signal shift, trend shift, but it's going to get you into the trade later, generally. So when you have an opportunity to really study this, the Cycle Finder Plus, and you start looking at crossovers, and you just simply look at the cross and where that aligned to the price shift. Here was a cross on a 10-minute bookings signal, and it crossed at 11:10, and the bar before that, the 11 o'clock bar, we can now look back and see was the lowest low of the previous declining cycle and the lowest low of the new rising cycle. So you missed the absolute bottom by 1 bar, and you're going to find that to be pretty consistent. Here's a cross here that missed the absolute top by 2 bars. Here's a cross that missed the top by 1 bar. So I actually personally love going back and looking at these and seeing when the signal presented itself. Today, actually towards the end of the market, bookings sold off. The 30-minute gave a signal to sell right at the beginning of the 330 bar, and the 330 bar was the bar that actually ended up selling off. You can see on the 10-minute here that signal came on at 240. 240, you go short, it shredded sideways for a while before it sold off there. I see Mark is asking, is this training geared more to the intermediate or advanced trader? Mark, I would say that as long as you are comfortable trading whatever you're trading, whether you're trading futures or trading options, as long as you're comfortable making those executions and understanding, the very basics of futures, very basics of options, you don't even need advanced options trading knowledge. This training is right for you because it's all geared around when do you get into the trade. So whether you're a futures, forex, or options trader or a stock investor, the key, the common denominator is understanding when should I open the trade. And now with the tool, the spreadsheet that Aaron's done a great job of creating for you guys, we are helping you decide when you should also exit out of the trade. Trying to make it just as simple as possible. Rod's asking, is the master's class a one-time class or series of classes? So it's a series of 4 sessions, Rod. It's Tuesday and Thursday of next week and Tuesday and Thursday of the following week. And I anticipate each session is about an hour plus some questions, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But I also find that in general learning environments, if you try to push more than an hour of information, it kind of gets lost. And so we'll try to keep it to about that. And the follow-up was also what additional changes or charges are required, chart access. Well, you have to have a Profit Flow Analytics subscription, and that requires a TradingView subscription and a real-time data feed. So the total of all of that, if you put all of that together, is about $350 to $380 a month, depending on what level of service you have. Now, $380 a month is a reasonable commitment, but as I look at every one of these stocks that we're evaluating, if you just traded Amazon and you traded 1 contract on Amazon, oops, not 7. If you traded 1 contract on Amazon, you can scan down through here and see what the potential profit is. And over the course of a year, it's $25,000. So you got about a $4,500 commitment for the year. Let's say a $5,000 commitment in terms of cost for the year, but trading 1 contract on just a simple stock like Amazon, you can make $25,000. So what we've done is we've priced everything, taking into account everything to try to make it just as easy and as palatable as possible. And now if you traded two different stocks at different times, maybe having two different positions on, maybe not even overlapping positions. But if you did Amazon and bookings, you know, one contract is 39,000 on bookings. So I think that it's very reasonable, but you do need a subscription to Profit Flow Analytics and TradingView.
Andrew is asking, is the platform installed or in the cloud so that only a sign-on is necessary? So the indicators are hosted on the TradingView platform, and it is a web-based platform. So there's no install, which means you can use it on a PC, on a Mac, anything that has a web browser. You can view the charts on, and it also has an app that you can use as well to view the charts.
Fergal is asking, could you tell me everything I need to get the full benefit of the masterclass? Look at your emails today, Fergal. You should have gotten an additional email. We've been sending emails about the masterclass for a few days. Look and see if you got one from Dorothy today or from New Cycle Trading. If not, check your spam folder, junk folder. And if you can't find the announcement with the information that will tell you more about the class and how to sign up, shoot Dorothy an email, and she'll send you what you need. Ronald's asking if you tested trading debit spreads based on the sweet spots. Listen, you can trade debit spreads, you can trade credit spreads, you can trade whatever you choose in terms of a directional bias strategy. We haven't specifically tested every single strategy, but the strategy isn't the important aspect of this, Ronald. It is the signal to take you into the trade. If you've traded debit spreads before and you were using a tool to decide when to get into that trade, when to open that debit spread, this is just a more effective tool to tell you when to do that. I love James's question. Will we affect the market when the trading world signs up?
Let's all hope.
Yes. Yes. Let me see if I can read your question here, Bob. Question is not about Cycle Finder, it's about money management. The goal is to get $200 profit per day. I generally stop trading once I reach my goal. What is recommended if the first few trades are losers? What point do you recommend quitting? Also only able to trade the first 1 to 2 hours per day on most trades. That's a tough place to be. If your goal is 200 and you stop each day when you hit 200, then when you have losing days, you're actually not averaging $200. Without going too much deeper than this, Bob, and really evaluating your personal situation beyond what you've shared with me, I would be incorporating some options trades based on the daily signals, the daily crosses, the Cycle Finder Plus. You're going to have some losing trades there, but the option trade is not something that you have to immediately be stopped out of. It doesn't give you an immediate loss in that day. You've got some time to expiration. It gives you a little bit more leeway and flexibility to be able to stay the course as long as the chart is continuing to tell you to stay in the trade. So initial feedback for you would be consider blending some futures trading with some options trading. Gerard, I see your question, and certainly will take that to heart. We have communicated about that. And no, you're not the only person raising the question. Scott, absolutely. So you can use the Cycle Finder Plus on a daily cross for options, and then you can certainly trade futures on the shorter time periods. Mark, so I understand, sometimes you got to take a break from what you're doing. There's no reason you cannot take the masterclass, but in order to really effectively use the Cycle Finder Plus, the way we're going to be teaching it, you have to have a subscription to Profit Flow, the new cycle trading Profit Flow Analytics. You could take the masterclass, and you will have it in recorded format, so that once you renew your subscription, you could delve into it at that time. Right. I don't see any other questions out there about you guys.
No, I don't.
I feel like I'm about to say something that I've said every day for the past forever, but futures are up. It was interesting last night, though. Futures were down big, and then when we woke up this morning, they were higher, right?
Yes. Somebody mentioned the day before yesterday on the Financial Channel that when's the next black swan coming, and then the guy says, well, it doesn't really matter because market's going to keep going no matter what happens. Pretty obvious what happened last night. They're shooting missiles at us, and then it sells off, and then all of a sudden this morning wake up and we missed a new record day in the S&P. In the Nasdaq, 9,100 and change. I think it went to. Yeah, new record. I think the S&P did too. Not the SPX did too, I believe.
Well, and that right there is why everybody should want to rely on a set of signals that are telling you it's about ready to cycle higher, it's about ready to cycle lower. If you're trading the trend, if all you want to do is trade the trend, you should put your money in and ride it until the trend is over. But we don't know when the trend is going to end. But right now, the trend is all to the upside.
I think I said in the room this week, I can't remember, maybe it was this last week or maybe it's this week, but if you get yourself in a room, shut the door, lock it, in a padded room, you can't hear nothing, turn the TV off and just watch the chart, you'd be a lot better. Because emotionally, you're gonna make a mistake because you listen to what they're saying on the news or whatever. It doesn't matter. You could have somebody that don't know anything about the market say, "Oh, when's the black swan coming?" Then your emotions will start to kick in. Then you go, "Well, you know what? Maybe they got a point. Maybe they know something I don't know." No, they don't. Shut the door, turn the TV off, and just look at the chart. That's all you need to do. And I'm guilty. I mean, I'm guilty as I could be about that, but that's the best way to do it, is forget about it and move on and watch the chart.
If you spend any amount of effort at all, you can find an equal number of billionaires who will tell you the market's going to go sky high tomorrow, and an equal number of ones that will tell you it's going to crash tomorrow.
And I hope you're one of the billionaires in the next 10 years.
I do too, but correlation is not to how much you want is not necessarily accurate.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think that's it for tonight. Craig, I sincerely appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. I know that you are always busy thinking about trading, thinking about indicators, and writing code with your team to help the rest of us. So grateful for everything you guys have done. Aaron, Michael, always appreciate you guys being here. So thank you very much. We're going to close out tonight, folks. If you really are serious about your 2020 trading, you need Profit Flow Analytics. You need the Cycle Finder Plus. You need the Masterclass. It's a small investment of your time to go through the Masterclass, and it's a small investment of your money to have the right tools. I know some of you that I know personally have probably spent way more than that on a set of golf clubs and golf coaches. So there's all sorts of comparisons and golfing is a fantastic passion, and it's, you know, a joy of mine, and you can go out and enjoy yourself. We're trying to help you learn how to make some money, small investment of your time, small investment of your funds, and help you make some money in 2020. So thank you, everybody.